Most men are still dating like it's 1998. They're using the same instincts, the same assumptions, the same good guy programming, while the incentives, the culture, and the legal realities have shifted underneath their feet. And that gap between how men think dating works and how it often actually works today is where men get hurt. So let me say this carefully. This is not about hating women. This is not about all women are bad. That's lazy thinking. And it's also a great way to become paranoid, bitter, and socially uncalibrated. But it is about recognizing that modern dating is not just romance anymore. It's a marketplace. It's social status. It's lifestyle. It's survival strategy. It's personal branding. And yes, sometimes it's opportunism. You don't have to become a cynic to survive a storm. You just have to stop pretending the storm isn't there. Because the truth is, a portion of the dating pool, men and women, approach relationships like hunters. They're not looking for partnership. They're looking for advantage, security, upgrades, resources, validation, a seat at a table they didn't build. And if you don't learn to spot the difference between a woman who wants you and a woman who wants what you provide, you can lose years of your life, a massive portion of your income, your peace of mind, and in some cases, meaningful access to your children. That isn't fear mongering, it's risk management. You're not an animal, but you are a man operating inside a system with incentives. And systems don't reward your good intentions, they reward your decisions. So the goal today is simple: survive and thrive in modern dating without becoming prey, not by avoiding relationships, not by treating every woman like an enemy, but by becoming the kind of man who can see clearly, move strategically, enforce boundaries, and choose wisely. Because the cost of being wrong is too high for wishful thinking. The first shift, selection changed, and most men don't understand what they're being selected for. Here's the uncomfortable reality. In modern dating, many women aren't selecting for good man the way men define it. They are selecting for what serves the life they're building. That's not evil, it's human. Everyone selects based on self interest. Men do it too. Men select for youth, beauty, peace, loyalty, respect, sexual chemistry. Women select for security, competence, social proof, stability, leadership, lifestyle, and increasingly, convenience. The danger for men is not that women are selective. The danger is that men misunderstand the criteria, so they misread what's happening and overinvest in the wrong situations. Let's break down a pattern you'll see repeatedly. A woman in her prime years often avoids men with children. She doesn't want blended family complications. She doesn't want to navigate ex drama. She doesn't want to share resources. She wants a clean slate. That's rational. But many men miss the implication. Your past choices don't disappear, they compound. If you have kids from a previous relationship, you're automatically excluded from a meaningful slice of the dating pool, especially women who have options and are thinking long term. So the question isn't, is that fair? The question is, do you understand the consequences before you create them? Because modern men are still making permanent choices with temporary emotions. Here's another shift. Many career focused women today aren't looking for let's build together from scratch. They're looking for add value to the life I already built. Again, nothing wrong with ambition, but it changes the dynamic. In older relationship models, two people often built a life as a unit. Shared sacrifice, shared risk, shared grind, shared creation. Now, a lot of relationships start with asymmetry. One person is evaluating whether you can be an Upgrade, whether you fit a pre-designed lifestyle, whether you match an already established trajectory. That changes what some women want from you and what they're willing to give. If you don't understand this, you'll waste time trying to prove yourself to someone who was never truly available for mutual building in the first place. You'll audition for a role instead of being chosen as a partner. And when a man auditions for love, he becomes controllable because he's trying to earn something that should be mutual. The second shift, the financial architecture of modern life, can trap men for decades. Most men don't get destroyed in dating because they're weak. They get destroyed because they're uninformed and overconfident at the same time. They assume, I'm a good guy. I work hard. I'll be fine. But good intentions don't protect you from bad structures. And some of the most punishing structures in a man's life are financial structures tied to relationships, shared living, shared assets, marriage contracts, divorce outcomes, and child-related obligations. Here's the part nobody tells young men clearly enough. A six-figure salary can be an illusion if your obligations are heavy. I've seen men making strong money who have less disposable income than a single guy, making half as much, because the high earner is supporting multiple households and dealing with fixed obligations he can't quickly adjust. Taxes hit first, then child-related expenses and sometimes court-ordered payments, then rent or mortgage, then transportation, then insurance, then the lifestyle expectations that quietly attach themselves to your identity. If you're a man, you should provide. On paper, he looks successful. In reality, he's a labor machine funding obligations with limited control and little margin. And here's what makes it dangerous. Many of those obligations originate from decisions made when he was younger, more trusting, more romantic, and less educated about consequences. He thought he was building a family. What he sometimes built was a long-term financial structure with minimal flexibility. To be crystal clear, responsibility for children matters. Being present matters. Providing matters. But the risk men underestimate is not the responsibility itself. It's the rigidity of the system once it's in motion. When you're locked into obligations and something changes, your job, your health, your industry, the economy, you may find that adjusting those obligations takes time, legal effort, and bureaucracy that does not care about your stress. The system isn't designed to ask, is this man okay? It's designed to enforce. So a smart man doesn't hope it works out. He plans. He doesn't take on obligations he can't sustain. He doesn't confuse a good feeling with a good decision. And he doesn't assume fairness will protect him if things go sideways. The third shift, incentives exist, and some people exploit incentives. This is where men get emotional because they want to believe everything in dating is love-based, intention-based, morality-based. It's not. Dating is a human ecosystem, and ecosystems create incentives. And where incentives exist, a percentage of people will exploit them. Not all women, not most women, but enough women and enough men that pretending it doesn't happen is stupidity, not virtue. Child support, for example, is designed to support children. That's the stated purpose. In practice, enforcement mechanisms often route payments through the custodial parent, and accountability for exact spending can be limited. The system is not designed like a corporate expense report. It's designed like a transfer that can create situations where the non-custodial parent feels financially extracted without meaningful influence over outcomes, even if you believe strongly in providing for children. You should also be honest that the structure can create perverse incentives for the wrong people. The point is not to accuse women broadly. The point is to stop being naive about human behavior. Some people will treat pregnancy as leverage. Some people will treat marriage as a contract they can exit profitably. Some people will treat love as a sales pitch. And the only men who get blindsided by that reality are the men who refuse to acknowledge it exists. If you can't tell the difference between a woman who wants a father for her children and a woman who wants a provider for her lifestyle, you're vulnerable. If you can't tell the difference between a woman who wants the partnership and a woman who wants a sponsor, you're vulnerable. If you can't tell the difference between genuine affection and strategic affection, you're vulnerable. And again, this isn't paranoia, it's discernment. You lock your door at night not because you think every human is a criminal, but because you understand that a small percentage of people are, and you don't get a prize for being the easiest target. The fourth shift: men invest in ways that create vulnerability, then call it love. Men get hurt because men are builders. Men invest. Men commit. Men attach identity to sacrifice. That's not weakness. That's masculinity when it's healthy. Provision, leadership, commitment, responsibility. But the modern environment punishes blind investment. Here's the pattern that ruins men. He invests heavily early. Time, money, attention, emotional availability, lifestyle upgrades, constant presence. He overextends because he's betting on the future. He tells himself, this is what men do. I'm showing seriousness. But what he's really doing is front-loading the relationship with resources before he has a proof of character, stability, or reciprocity. Then he overlooks warning signs because now he's invested. And once a man is invested, he becomes psychologically biased. He wants the investment to pay off. He starts negotiating with reality. He ignores his gut. He rationalizes behavior he wouldn't accept from anyone else. He tells himself, she just needs time. He tells himself, it's different with me. He tells himself, once we move in, she'll calm down. He tells himself, once we get engaged, she'll change. He tells himself, once we have a baby, it will bring us closer. Those are fantasies, and fantasies are expensive. The solution is not to never invest. The solution is to invest proportionally to what you're receiving. Match energy, match commitment, match consistency, match effort. A healthy relationship is a deal both people are happy to be in. Not because it's transactional, but because reciprocity is the foundation of respect. If you constantly feel like you're the one carrying the relationship, financially, emotionally, socially, that's not romance. That's extraction. Even if she's not doing it consciously, the outcome is the same. You lose yourself. Learn the difference between chosen and used. A man can be wanted for two very different reasons. She wants you, your character, your presence, your values, your mind, your leadership, your humor, your steadiness. She wants what you provide: lifestyle, rent coverage, social status, financial support, convenience, access. Both can look the same in the beginning. The difference shows up over time, especially when the benefits stop flowing. Here's a simple test. When you slow down your giving, time, money, attention, does she become more respectful and cooperative, or does she become angry and manipulative? A woman who values you will communicate. She'll ask what's going on. She'll work with you. She'll maintain warmth even when things aren't perfect. A woman who values what you provide will punish you, shame you, withdraw, threaten, replace you. Not because she's evil, but because you are a function, not a bond. The fifth shift: the most dangerous red flags are not dramatic, they're behavioral patterns. Every man knows the obvious red flags: addiction, cheating history, chaos, violence, extreme jealousy. But what destroys men more often are subtle patterns that seem small early on and become catastrophic later. Pay attention to how she talks about her past. If every ex was a narcissist, every breakup was trauma, and she has zero accountability, you're looking at a pattern. The common denominator in her relationships is her. How she handles disappointment. If minor inconveniences become emotional hurricanes, you're not seeing passion, you're seeing dysregulation. Life gets harder, not easier. If she can't regulate now, she won't regulate later. How she handles conflict. Does she resolve or escalate? Can she disagree without disrespect? Can she repair? Or does every conflict become a war where she must win? How she treats people beneath her waitstaff, customer service, strangers, your friends. That's the real personality. Everyone can be charming to someone they want something from. How she relates to money. Does she build or consume? Does she plan or impulse? Does she respect your boundaries or treat your resources as communal property by default? And here's the one men ignore the most: how she responds to boundaries. A respectful woman doesn't have to love your boundaries, but she will respect them. A manipulative woman will treat your boundaries as an insult. She'll call you cheap. She'll call you insecure. She'll call you controlling. She'll test you with guilt, shame, and pressure because she isn't reacting to the boundary. She's reacting to the fact that she can't control you. The pushback tells you everything. The most important skill a man can develop: boundaries that are real. Boundaries aren't preferences. Boundaries are lines you enforce even when you like her, especially when you like her. You need financial boundaries. Do not merge finances early. Do not pay to prove yourself. Do not fund someone's lifestyle while getting to know them. Do not co-sign. Do not add people to accounts. Do not make yourself financially responsible for someone you are not legally committed to. And even then, be deliberate. Time boundaries. Do not abandon your friends, your training, your work, your mission. A relationship that requires you to shrink your life to keep her calm is not love. It's control disguised as closeness. Sexual boundaries. Do not leave reproduction to chance. Pregnancy is not just a risk. It is a life-altering legal and moral commitment. Treat it that way. Be disciplined. Be intentional. Protect your future. Identity boundaries. Do not become her man at the expense of being a man. You are a person with a mission. The relationship is part of your life, not the definition of it. Here's the key. Boundaries are not a speech you give. They're a pattern you live. If you enforce boundaries inconsistently, you teach people to push harder until you fold. If you enforce boundaries calmly and consistently, you teach people how to treat you. The fantasy trap. Men fall in love with potential and then call it betrayal when reality arrives. One of the most damaging habits men have is falling in love with the future version of a woman. He falls in love with what she could be. He falls in love with her when she's not stressed. He falls in love with her when she heals. He falls in love with the relationship once we stabilize. He falls in love with potential, and that is how men get destroyed. Because you can't build a life on a maybe. You can't marry a promise. You can't have children with "I'll change." You can't stake your financial future on hope. Judge behavior, not words. Judge patterns, not apologies. Judge the relationship as it exists now, not as it might exist someday. A ruthless question every man should ask before deep commitment is this: if nothing changes, and this is the relationship forever, would I be proud of this life? If the answer is no, you are gambling. And gambling with love is one thing. Gambling with marriage, assets, and fatherhood is another. Treat early dating like data collection, not destiny. This sounds unromantic. Good. Romance without discernment is how men end up paying tuition in court. The early stage of dating should be an evaluation period, not interrogation, not suspicion, observation. You're collecting information. Can she communicate? Can she respect boundaries? Can she handle conflict without escalation? Is she consistent? Does she contribute? Does she make your life calmer or more chaotic? Does she build with you or drain you? Control the pace. A woman who is healthy won't need to rush you into binding commitments to feel secure. She'll build security through trust, consistency, and mutual investment. A woman who is trying to lock you down quickly often has urgency for reasons that aren't about love. Time pressure, lifestyle pressure, competition pressure, resource pressure. The right woman won't punish you for moving with wisdom. And if she does punish you for moving with wisdom, she just saved you. The best protection is becoming a man with options and self respect. Men who get used tend to share one trait. They don't believe they have options. They're afraid to lose her, so they tolerate what they shouldn't. They accept disrespect because they think it's the price of companionship. They overgive because they think that's how you earn love. But a man who has built himself physically, financially, emotionally, socially, moves differently. He doesn't cling. He doesn't negotiate his dignity. He doesn't accept chaos as the cost of intimacy. He can walk away because he's walking towards something. This development has to be real, not a performance, not a social media mask, real competence, real discipline, real purpose. Because the man who has a strong life doesn't need to force love. He chooses love carefully. He doesn't tolerate disrespect because peace is more valuable than chemistry. He doesn't tolerate manipulation because loneliness is less painful than losing yourself. He doesn't tolerate one-sided relationships because he understands reciprocity is the foundation of partnership. Here's the reality men must accept. Feelings are not contracts. A lot of men secretly believe that love is a guarantee. She loves me, so she'll stay. That's not how humans work. Feelings change. Circumstances change. People evolve or deteriorate. The point isn't to live in fear. The point is to build a life where you are not destroyed by change. That means keep building yourself even in a relationship. Keep your friendships alive. Keep your financial stability independent. Keep your identity intact. Stay attractive through competence and character. Never assume locked in means safe. Long-term relationships require ongoing investment from both sides. You can't coast on early chemistry. You can't stop showing up. And you also can't carry someone who refuses to meet you halfway. The highest stakes decisions a man makes, marriage and fatherhood. Too many men stumble into marriage because it feels like the next step. Too many men become fathers because it just happened. And that is madness. Marriage is a legal contract with serious financial implications. Divorce is not just emotional pain. It can be structural damage. Fatherhood is even more permanent. You can divorce a spouse. You cannot unhave a child. Once you have a child, you are connected to the mother for decades, regardless of how the relationship goes. This is why discipline matters. Not fear, not hatred. Discipline. Marriage and fatherhood should be chosen when your finances are stable, your habits are strong, your partner has proven character over time, your relationship has demonstrated repair after conflict, your values align, your boundaries are respected, You're prepared for outcomes beyond your ideal scenario. If you're not ready, the move is not to hope. The move is to wait. There is no trophy for rushing. There is only cost. The core truth: you are responsible for your outcomes. Now we land the plane. Yes, the landscape is harder than it used to be in certain ways. Yes, some systems disadvantage men in family disputes. Yes, some people exploit incentives. Yes, some women are predatory, the same way some men are predatory. All true. And none of it absolves you of responsibility. You choose who you date. You choose who you commit to. You choose whether you enforce boundaries. You choose whether you protect your future. Blaming the system won't restore your peace. Blaming women won't rebuild your finances. Blaming culture won't give you more time with your children. The only thing that changes your outcomes is ownership. Ownership means understand the environment. Build yourself into a man with options. Choose slowly. Trust based on evidence, not hope. Invest proportionally. Enforce boundaries consistently. Never confuse chemistry with character. Never confuse attention with loyalty. Never confuse a promise with a pattern. Modern dating can be a hunting ground, not because women are the enemy, but because incentives attract opportunists. Your job isn't to become bitter. Your job is to become wise. The hunters exist. So do good women who want real partnership. The difference is whether you can tell them apart. And you can, if you stop dating with fantasies and start dating with standards. If you build yourself into a man who doesn't need to be chosen because he can choose. If you respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that costs you your peace, your mission, or your future. You don't have to be prey, but you do have to claim your power. That starts with clarity.